Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my first ever YouTube video. My name is Ali, and I'm going to talk to you and show you today a really clever and simple way that I've mounted these bottle cages to my front suspension forks of my mountain bike for the purposes of bike packing. And I'm also going to run over at the same time just a couple of the little modifications that I've made to my bike. So first of all, I'd just like to show these are just standard bottle cages that I already had, Tech, but you know, just any brand, nothing special. Just designed to screw onto a normal frame mount. So bear with me while I position my phone up here. I've got this drill vise and a block of wood, sophisticated stuff. Hopefully I get my phone to rest at an appropriate angle. So, yeah, two stainless steel Jubilee clips, quite wide, quite good quality ones, stainless so they don't rust. And I'm just going to get a screwdriver out, take this off, show you how this is done. These can be opened with either a spanner, hex, or a minor screwdriver. These particular ones you can get, obviously they're quite old ones these, they're mostly crosshead these days. Just make sure that you have the tool with you to be able to tighten them, I suppose, or take them off. So yeah, two stainless Jubilee clips. If you take them obviously all the way to the end of the worm gear, it will, do it with your fingers, open up, and you carefully, without scratching your paint, slide it off. So yeah, stainless steel Jubilee clip from my collection of Jubilee clips. And we'll undo this one, and we'll just drop that one down for now. Because it's been so compressed for such a long time, it looks like the cage is actually staying put, just stuck to the rubber there. So what I've got is, oh, you just thought that was glued. There we go. That's come away. Just a standard bottle cage that you'd normally, I don't know if it's that in shop, normally would go up on the frame of the bike like that. Just mount it down here, a bit of inner tube that I cut off just to act as padding, and the Jubilee clip themselves threads behind there like that and pulls that to the fork, and you position it in such a way that the tails are in the least sort of obtrusive point. They could even be cut off with a pair of tin snips and filed down potentially if you wanted to, if it was vastly too long. Yeah, and two other pieces of inner tube rubber horizontally around the fork, just to give it something to bite into and also to protect your fork. And you can see it's made a good impression there. So I've just come back from a 4-day off-road bike packing trip where this got an absolute hammering for 4 solid days down all sorts of trails, smashed and strimmed through vegetation, didn't move at all, not one bit, solid as anything. So it's a tried and tested method, works really well. One thing I will say, so I've got these are the two bottles I had. That's the older design, and that fits really nice and snugly in there, because these cutaways are only in certain places. So if you line it up with a place where there isn't a cutaway, it really pinches the bottle firm, and that didn't judder, didn't move at all. Whereas the newer bottle is wasted all the way around, and that's it might even be fractionally slimmer. That's a far easier fit in the cage, and that juddered around a lot. And this was a brand new bottle, and now it looks like someone sandpapered the sides and the bottom. And it's even, so it was mounted on this side. I'll just pick the phone up. It's even worn quite an amount of aluminium away at the base of the cage here. So it's worth getting bottles and cages that are a really good interference fit, so you don't get that judder. So the inner tube that I mounted it with, I'll just reposition this. There we go. Just a piece of normal inner tube cut a piece off like that, cut it open like that. And you'll notice it's got this French chalk coating from manufacture. That's actually quite slippy. It doesn't have the same properties as rubber. So I used some rag, which I've got somewhere, a t-shirt, and I wiped the majority of the surface stuff off. Then I've got some sandpaper. Just rough the surface up, take off that top layer with the release agent and the chalk on there, because you want to really expose that nice grippy under rubber, the real rubber. So I did that a bit, possibly for a little bit longer than I'm doing it now. And you can even do it lightly on the other side, just to... And then I washed it, just rinsed it under some cold water, give it a wipe. Got all of the dust, all of the stuff off, left me with, when it was dry, a really nice piece of grippy black rubber that then could be cut to size, so you didn't have loads of excess. Didn't need to be any wider than the bit that's in contact, doesn't need to be any longer than the bit that's in contact, really, for neatness. And then again, 2 pieces that don't need to be much wider than the Jubilee clip that you're using, going round. Yeah, do them up nice and tight. Obviously these forks are perfectly circular, so that's a good fit, but even on, you know, slightly profiled elliptical forks, especially if you sort of moulded the Jubilee clip slightly perhaps, but I reckon you get those still to fit on some slightly elliptical forks. So that's my method of mounting. Also positioning, I've seen various, not mounted like this, but various people mounting them either facing forwards, facing backwards, or facing out here, and I just thought to myself, well, I can reach down and drink from these as I'm riding along, and this way I don't put my hands closer to the spokes than I can help, because you don't really look down, and the bar roll of my luggage, which I'll talk about in another video, kind of obscures the view a bit, but you're just reaching for something. The last thing you want is to put your fingers in the spokes. Also, if you were to hit something really hard, it would possibly deform the cage, bend it all backwards, and if you've already swung it round here somewhere, it doesn't have far to go before it's in your spokes, and wipe a load of your spokes out, which wouldn't be good. So I thought also another reason was putting it on the side here. Any impact, it's got a hell of a long way to go before it's going to take any of your spokes out. And I just thought to myself a little while ago, I think, I haven't tried it, you could possibly mount 2 cages on each fork if you really needed that much water and had nowhere else to put it. Obviously that's 3 extra kilos of load on the bottom of the forks there, but I dare say you could possibly squeeze 2 bottles on each fork. You could carry 3 litres of water with that size bottle. So that's the main purpose of the video. But while I'm here, I'll just run over very briefly some of the other things. So it's a Diamondback Loomis 2.0, large size frame, hydraulic brakes. Don't know a great deal about mountain biking. It's a reasonable carbon fibre bike. So just a standard, except for I put on this really big gel touring saddle that I had from a previous bike, because 10 hours in the saddle, you don't want the hard little, tiny thin perch that came with it. I've got this plastic cable tie-on mudguard, Rapid Racer products from Wiggle, I think. A little guard for the seals here, that's quite handy, but pretty effective. Very occasionally get a bit of stuff caught under there, mud and things, but it is the entire size of the, it doesn't really reduce the size of the clearance, being there or not being there compared to this metal part. So I think it's a sound piece of kit to have. Ergon grips, you spend a lot of time leaning on the bars all day long. The ones that were on there were totally unpadded cylindrical things. Touring, spending any time leaning on bars, Ergon grips are the way to go if you ask me. These BioCork versions are nice. Get them at the right angle and you can happily lean on them for 10 hours without getting any pins and needles. Bell, always handy to have a bell, let people know you're there, pass people. Mine's got a compass on the top, pretty handy, just for general navigation and orientating yourself. And you know, I just cycled Pedder's Way as part of my bike packing trip, and you're just heading north-northwest, dead for like 45 miles, so it's quite cool to see it in the flesh. And then this phone mount. I've actually got a couple I can talk to you about here, but this is a made by GUB. These are all off Amazon. This one was off Amazon, eBay, sorry. This one was off eBay. It's £14 because it was a UK seller and I needed it in a hurry. But you'll see the other two that I've got are a very similar design. This one arrived in time. The other two arrived while I was away, but I still rate this one over the out of the three, and I'll tell you why, but shortly. So it just clamps around the bar here. I used a little bit of gaffer tape just to provide a bit of anti-vibration squeeze. And there's lots of different designs, but it basically has got this middle screw, and it takes phones from 50 to 100 millimeters in width. And I found this, I can't obviously show you with my phone in because I'm filming on my phone, but it would pinch the phone really securely. I've got a slightly rubberized case on my phone that provides just enough squeeze to give it that firm anti-vibration hold. I wouldn't necessarily, I haven't tried it, but I don't know if I would trust it with a non-cased hard phone. Just that interface between aluminium and glass or metal wouldn't, it might come loose slightly. But it looks, you know, of reasonable quality. It's held up very well. It's held the phone over all manner of terrain, and you know, once you've got it roughly to the width, you know, two or three turns and it's pinched, 2 or 3 turns and your phone's out to take a picture. So I could regularly just stop, phone out, take a picture, answer a call, whatever, and away you go for navigation. So I really would rate this. When I fitted it, another good thing to know is, so you'll see on some of the bolts that you undo and grub screws and cap heads on bikes, there's this sort of blue residue on the threads. It's a thread lock, anti-vibration lock, like a liquid substance that's put on that stops them shaking loose. Well, you can buy that same stuff, Loctite make various types of product. These are really old because a little goes a long way and they last for years. Comes in different grades, basically strong, medium and weak. And strong you don't want because you need to like apply the heat of a blowtorch before it can be undone. The weak stuff is just fine. They're different colour ratings, I believe. The green one is the one I've got. The branding's changed since this was bought many years ago, but number 222 is still what it's called. This is called Screw Lock 222. Put a tiny little drop of this green stuff on the end of threads and do them up and it kind of sets, but it can still be undone with hand tools without any special treatment. So I've done that to all of these cap head fixings, and for this bar mount I've put on a spring washer and a plain washer. The spring washer is just like a tiny little one coil of a spring that adds some grip, stop it from vibrating loose. So the order would go the head of the cap head bolt, then a spring washer, then a plain washer, and then into the fixing. So that's held rock solid, 240 miles of off-road use. Great bit of kit for 15 quid. They make this one and this one. The pictures look almost identical. When you get them out of the box, this was like, one was £5, one was £8. So for the money, let me get the phone back up here. That's in shot. Yeah, good enough. So again, same principle, that undoes. The only thing maybe I don't trust about this as much is the way that this connects to this. It's got, you know, a cap head bolt that's going to go through there, but this is, you know, just relying on that bolt. The one that's on my bike has like a male cross-shaped part on the end here and a female cross-shaped part on the plate here, and they actually physically lock in before the bolt. I think that's going to add extra stability, but this was, you know, half the cost or even a third of the cost depending on which one was a £5, and it looks very, very similar. This bit looks identical. So with some thread lock or some stud lock on here, that could potentially be as good for a £5. There seems to be various versions of the same thing. That picture is like the same picture. So yeah, this one's like that. Benggud. And this one just says phone holder. I don't even know if I've opened this one yet. That's various kind of spacers for different size. You've got small bars, instructions, and again that's got no location, just a hole and a hole. But this top plate part, now this one's off centre, so the others have got 2 guide rails and a central screw. This one's got 1 guide rail and the other guide rail is the screw, so it pulls from one side. MZYRH. So I don't know, if I was trusting a £1,000 iPhone on a bike, I think I'd spend the extra 8 or 10 quid and go with this one. I've got various other bikes that I don't hammer quite as hard, and I'm going to put those on those road bikes. Give them a go. But yeah, this one I rate. Yeah, I think the tyres that I had, they're Schwalbe Smart Sam tyres. They were on the bike. They've dealt with a fantastic array of terrain: beach, sand, mud, forest. Sharp flint, gravel tracks. Sand. Everything that's been thrown at them. They've got a couple of deep cuts from the flint, I presume, but haven't cut through to any type of canvas or Kevlar underneath, and really impressed with them. No punctures. As again, I don't know a lot about mountain biking tyres, but I rate those tyres having used them. So yeah, that concludes my little video about my bike packing setup. I'm going to do some other videos about the luggage and doing a bit of a review on the luggage and how the luggage attaches and various things I've noticed and would recommend about it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope it's been informative. Bye for now.